whether we as learners or as educators, we are in fact great followers. But when it comes to creativity, when it comes to innovation, when it comes to critical thinking, when it comes to creativity in that sense of the term, why I do mention this, because I strongly believe that each and every child, when he or she is born as a creative being, is born with that inquisitive spirit. The problem is, as educators and as parents, we actually unknowingly stunt their creativity. We put a halt to their inquisitive spirit.
Hey everyone, I just wanted to let you know that this episode has some serious distortion issues with the audio with my mic. The guest for today, her audio was perfectly fine. We still don't know what happened with mine, but it is some distortion. It's like a buzzing sound. It's audible. You can hear it. You can understand me. However, there's a lot of buzzing, and I really hope that doesn't deter you from listening and watching today's episode. So thank you so much in advance for bearing with me and my technology. I don't know what happened. Anyway, instead of completely just deleting everything and we didn't have time to record again, I just decided to go ahead and produce this episode. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as much as you can. Thank you.
Hey, Entreleader. Welcome to the 50th episode of the Leaders Lab podcast. I feel like we have reached a milestone because for 50 straight weeks, we have been coming to you with insight, with knowledge, and hopefully some motivation and inspiration about your professional and personal development. And today, last week we had our first woman doctor, the first woman with doctor in front of her name, Grace Our Lab. And on today, for the 50th episode, God saw fit to bring somebody. I feel like this woman that I'm about to introduce you to is just, without a doubt, she is a world changer. She's full of purpose and passion. And I'm so excited to have her in the lab on today. Speaking about this woman, with a purposeful career in education space spanning over more than 20 years, Dr. Shali Mukherjee has dedicated her life towards promotion of child-centric and activity-oriented education. A passionate educationist and a global thought leader with the background of setting up and leading New Age K-12 schools, Dr. Mukherjee has been the founder, principal of Adamas World School and STEM World School, the first STEM school in West Bengal, India. Under her inspiring leadership, STEM World School has been ranked and awarded as the second best international day school in West Bengal by Education World. Dr. Mukherjee ardently believes that the purpose of meaningful education is to develop lifelong learners, creative thinkers, and responsible global citizens who are confidently equipped to face the challenges of an uncertain and constantly unfolding future. All through her career in education, Dr. Mukherjee had actively contributed to and spearheaded the process of creating a personalized, engaging, and stress-free curriculum for children of all age groups. She has been the recipient of numerous awards and accolades, including National Quality Excellence Award, Gem of India Award, National Education Leadership Award in the category of Commitment to Excellence in Education, and so many other internationally reputable awards, including the World Peace Award. She's also been awarded for being among India's top 50 women leaders in the education industry and top 20 revolutionary education leaders by the Academic Council of ULEX. She is associated with premier educational organizations across India, as well as globally in senior advisory capacity. She is also recognized among 99 Women Achievers of India for the year 2021. As an internationally acclaimed inspirational speaker, she is regularly invited to numerous national and international conferences, universities, summits, conclaves, and events to share her insights on the futuristic and transformative role of education. She is currently working as the Director of School of Education at 𝗤𝗚𝗏 University in India. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my greatest pleasure right now to introduce to you Dr. Shali Mukherjee. Thank you so much and welcome to the Leaders Lab, Dr. Mukherjee.
Thank you so much for having me here today, and it's indeed a pleasure, Dr. Charity.
I just, for one, I am astonished right now. Like I am literally astonished because we actually met on social media, and Dr. Mukherjee, we met on Facebook, and Dr. Mukherjee reached out to me, and I'm just like, who is this amazing woman who has all of these accolades and all of these awards? And not only that, but she's also a fellow thought leader. You know how I am about being intentional in global leadership. And here I am thinking that I'm only reaching like a certain locale, and she's all the way in India. She is literally in India right now, making some of the most unheard of transformations happen. And yet she's here with us in the Leaders Lab. I cannot say enough just how honored I am to even be amongst your presence right now, Dr. Mukherjee. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm humbled. I'm really honored and humbled.
So first off, tell us a little bit about yourself. This series that we're doing is called Life After Doctor. And you have over 20 years of experience in so many different areas, specifically in education. But how did you get started? Like, what made you say, "Hey, I'm going to go get my doctorate. I want to be, a professional in this area." How did you get started? What made you decide that this was what you wanted to do?
Well, to start off with, I must say that, I would like to define myself as a passionate academician, a global thought leader, and at the same time, an inspirational speaker. So, well, when I said that I'm a passionate academician, the most important word here is the word passion. So, I would like to
Okay.
say that I'm a kind of a person who had actually turned her passion into her profession. So for me, Dr. Charity, it has been a conscious intersection between what I always wanted to do and what I was good at doing. So I'm a
Wow.
strong believer in the concept of ikigai. That is the reason for being. So right from a very young age, I had made up my mind that I would be entering into the teaching profession, and I would be there in order to create a real difference in the lives of the people around me. So, in retrospect, when I look back and when I see that, yes, that is something what I had always wanted to do, and that is something what I'm doing right now. So, yes, I feel extremely intrinsically motivated, day in and day out, for the kind of work that I have been doing and the kind of work that I, propose to do in the days to come.
So when you first got started, so you're saying that you always knew that, hey, I'm going into teaching, I'm going to be in education, I'm going to be, an educator. Did you always have in the back of your mind that you wanted to have your PhD or your doctorate or your EDD? Like, did you have in that, that mind frame, like, I want to be Dr. Shawley. Like, that's who I want to be. Was that an aspiration of yours, or did that actually come over time?
No, absolutely, yes. I would like to say that right from a very young age, when I even didn't understand what, getting a doctorate would entail, even from that particular age, I had a kind of a fascination for that title. And I would be very honest with you. I had a great fascination for the title. I always wanted that, the doctor, the title of a doctor should be there before my name. So I should be pronounced as Dr. Shauli. So that is something which I had always wanted right from a very young age. And I would be very honest that I didn't even understand or realize the implication of getting a doctorate at that point of time. But yes, with
Wow.
the time passing by and when I really became conscious of the entire stuff, then I really thought that, yeah, it's important for me to get the doctorate degree. Because I really, it's not only because for me, it was not only an advancement in your academic credentials or your professional credentials, but that is a very, kind of an indicator for you that, this is something which you had always wanted to do, and this is what you have been doing right now. So, with the passage of time, yes, a conscious, understanding dawned over me that yes, I needed this. I needed to pursue the doctoral degree, and I went ahead and I did it.
And one of the things that stood out to me automatically, especially just in the beginning of this episode already, is how you talked about how, you mentioned you turned your passion into your profession. There are so many people right now who are struggling with that very thing, turning their passion into their profession. So first, before I ask you, like, what strategies or what steps or what path you took to get that, to do that. My first thing is, what is your passion? Like, I want to know. I mean, of course, I can read your bio, but what is that thing that makes you wake up in the morning after going to bed so late at night from working, and makes you wake up and say, okay, it's time to do it all over again, or it's time to, time to move forward, time to seek the next goal or whatever. So what is that? What are the things that you're extra passionate about, whether it be in education? Obviously, I believe it's probably an education, but an educational, what have you.
Well, in order to answer your question regarding my passion, I would like to tell you that, I'm a kind of a person who is intrinsically motivated to touch, to inspire, and to impact the lives of, many people around me through the transformative and the ennobling power of education. So
Okay.
I would just like to take you back to the time when I had really started off my journey as a teacher in an international school of repute in my city. So I entered
Okay.
that particular profession with a lot of dreams and ambitions and hopes. But I must say that the more I was, into the system, I started getting a lot more frustrated. I started getting a lot more upset with the way education was delivered in real sense of the term. So the more I
Wow.
was into the system, the more I realized that the kind of things that we were doing in the name of education, actually we are doing things which are absolutely wrong, and we are actually doing a disservice to our present generation. Because the conventional and traditional educational norms, as we all know, they force our young learners to metaphorically draw and color within the lines. That is to conform, to comply, and to compete. Where every single learner is given the same amount of time to learn the same thing in the same way and preferably on the same day. So it's not a wonder that this little kids, this young talents, which are brimming with creativity and innovation, they struggle to realize their true potential. And no matter whatever we say, Dr. Charity, it's a fact that our histories have changed, our geographies have
Yeah.
changed. But sadly
Yeah.
enough, and unfortunately, our education system has not changed. It is still the
Wow.
same, and in fact, it is still the byproduct of the 19th century industrial revolution, which promotes a one size fits all educational structure, which does not even, recognize the fact that each and every child is born with a unique blueprint to create a unique difference in the world around him or her. So, sadly enough, this is the condition, or this is the state of affairs of education in the entire world right now. And I strongly believe, when it comes to my passion, what you have asked me, I believe
Mm-hmm.
that in my own little way, whatever it may be, I have a role to play in facilitating a paradigm shift from a
Mm.
too organized, too structured, and a too rigid educational system to a more productive, more open, more fulfilling, happy, and a stress-free teaching learning ecosystem. So that has always driven me from within. That has always acted as a kind of a very, very powerful trigger within me to actually do the kind of things that I have actually been able to do at a much later date of time.
Going from that, now you mentioned something, you brushed over it really quickly, and for me it stuck out. Like you said conform, comply, and compete. Now I'm not gonna let you just I'm not gonna let you just leave that right there. Can you explain that a little bit more? I love that you said our educational system right now is basically tailored to have us to conform, comply, and then compete. What is what's the issue with that there? If someone is listening to this right now and they're in education, they're like, that sounds about right, but could you explain that a little bit more? Like, what do you mean by that when you're saying, our children, or even not, maybe not even just the children in terms of being learners, but maybe also the teachers as well. What does that entail? What does that look like?
Dr. Charity, what I feel rather very strongly is that whether we as learners or as educators, we are in fact great followers. We're very good in following instructions. We are great, followers. But when it comes to creativity, when it comes to innovation, when it comes to critical thinking, when it comes to creativity in that sense of the term, why I do mention this, because I strongly believe that each and every child, when he or she is born as a creative being, is born with that inquisitive spirit. The problem is, as educators and as parents, we actually unknowingly stunt their creativity, and we put a halt to their inquisitive spirit. That is the problem. So this problem is not only with our learners, the problem is very much so with our educators. you know
Okay.
so I always believe that there needs to be a potent combination of two things. If you have to be considered as a truly empowered, progressive, and futuristic 21st century educator, you need to have two things. One is definitely a beginner's mindset. When I say a beginner's mindset, I try to mean that you need to have that adaptability, that flexibility, and that responsiveness towards all kinds of learnings that are happening around you, all new things that are happening around you. You need to have that beginner's mindset. But along with the beginner's mindset, something which is vitally important is that you need to have that challenging spirit, that questioning spirit, which helps you to challenge and question the status quo, which helps you to challenge and question almost everything around you that has become redundant, that has become obsolete, and that is not serving the purpose anymore. So I believe that only a potent combination of a beginner's mindset and a challenging and an inquiring and questioning spirit is something which goes into the making of a futuristic and an empowered 21st century educator. Now, going by that, if we introspect a bit, I mean, how many of us actually have that challenging spirit in us? How many of us have that questioning spirit, which is like, which acts as a very, very powerful trigger within us, and which actually sometimes even doesn't, allow us to sleep or rest, because we
Yeah.
see around us so many things which are happening, shouldn't be happening in that way or means. So even when it comes, when it comes to, touching the lives of this young children, whether as parents or as educators, we have tremendous responsibility. We have two things in our hands, Dr. Charity. We have unlimited power and potentialities, and at the same time, a tremendous sense of responsibility. But then we need to ask ourselves, how much are we doing things that are enough to, raise a generation of creative problem solvers and critical thinkers? Are we doing enough?
But it sounds like you believe that there is a need to reimagine our education system so that it can cater to the needs and the demands of, well, I guess, because I'm a millennial, so I'm guessing we're talking about Generation Z or the ones who are coming up after us. So if that's the case, how do you propose that that's done?
Yeah. So obviously there are a lot of things that need to be done. So
Okay.
just in order to set the context, let me just say that even the standardized tests, which happen to be an integral component of our educational system across the globe, it also tests two things: the learner's ability to comply and to conform, and definitely not the learner's ability to create or to innovate. Right from childhood, we seem to applaud the learner or the child if he or she is able to draw and color within the lines. But then we expect the same child when he or she grows up to be an out of the box thinker. I mean, how ironic is that? How absurd is that? Can it even happen? Then also, if you consider, Dr. Charity, that our education system gives so much of importance to the intelligence quotient, neglecting the emotional dynamics. Though significant
There we
research
go.
has proved that more than 80% of the success in your life, be it in your professional sphere or in your personal endeavors, actually rests on your emotional quotient and not on your intelligence quotient. So, in
Exactly.
spite of that, we seem to give so much of importance to the intelligence quotient only. Also, since childhood, as parents or as educators, we tend to impress the fact upon our children that it's so very important to come first in everything. That cutthroat competition is absolutely an integral part of whatever you're going to do in your life. Though we all know that the two important skill sets that happen to be the most important skill sets in the 21st century VUCA world happens to be cooperation and collaboration and not cutthroat competition. So, judging by all this,
Wow.
we
Wow. You
feel,
said corporate, the two most important skills there are cooperation and collaboration, not cutthroat competition.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Woman! Oh, Dr. Shali. Oh my goodness. See, now y'all are getting, I'm sure right now in the Leaders Lab, we are getting just a taste of what Dr. Shali Mukherjee goes and gives to all of these people at conferences and universities and symposiums. And oh my goodness, this is powerful. I love that. That's still ringing in my head right now. Uh, Cooperation, collaboration, not cutthroat competition. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Please continue. It hit me like what? What? Please continue.
So, Dr. Charity, it's high time that we actually have to realize the fact that our current education system does not need any reformation. Why do I say that? It doesn't need any reformation because when we speak about reformation, we're actually trying to, say that we're trying to, mend a broken model. So that is not what the current education system requires right now. What the system requires is a complete overhaul. It's a complete revolution. And nothing short of a revolution is going to work for our current education system. And yes, since you have asked me that what are, some of the ways and means in which we can actually do that, because yes, as global leaders, we speak on a lot of global platforms that a lot of transformation is required in the current education system, but how do we actually go about in achieving those things? I think that is very important. The very first thing that I would like to mention here is that in order to redefine or reimagine the current education system to suit the needs and demands of our 21st century learners, the first thing that we need to do is that the educators, the education leaders, and the educational policymakers, in fact, the entire educational fraternity, they must come together on a common platform and they must realize the fact that it's high time. We should realize that the real world, which is much beyond the confines of a fancy physical infrastructure of an educational institute actually rewards those amply who are able to, think out of the box, act out of the box, and can carve their own path. So it's high time that we
Now
have to
you said
realize that.
unify. You said to come together on a platform. You mentioned coming together on a platform. Is there a particular platform that you would recommend or suggest, or
Yeah,
is it just okay?
no, I would specifically like to mention that why it is important to come on a common platform. You see, often we see that, there are, in fact, there are no dearth of, teachers who think differently, or who really have a passion to create a lot of difference. We really have those teachers and educators with us, but often, we get these kind of statements and feedbacks from them that we would really would like to go ahead and create something completely new and innovative and creative, but our administrators are not allowing us to do that, you know so even the administrators sometimes say that what can we do? I mean, what changes can we bring unless it is a policy decision made by the government? So that is the reason, you see, all stakeholders, in fact, they have to come on a common platform. They have to agree to the fact that the redundant and the obsolete education system is not serving us anymore. I mean, how long can we actually proceed by just telling these young children that you just need to be followers, you just need to rote memorize, you just need to study in order to get a degree, a certificate, or marks? I mean, how long can we go on doing that? Are we not doing a disservice to this particular generation by actually trying to imply all these things to them? So I think, in terms of strategies, Dr. Charity, there are a lot of things that we can do. The first thing is that we need to allow more time to this young people, which they can actually utilize in following their own passion, their curiosity, in experimenting, and in trying out, experimenting, and with their novel ideas and with their novel thought patterns. In order to do that, as educators, first of all, we have to stop stigmatizing failures and mistakes. And we have to realize and appreciate the fact that both failures as well as mistakes are, in fact, essential components of an effective learning ecosystem. We have to understand that
Wow.
we cannot go on penalizing these children when they are, doing mistakes and encountering failures. I mean, if in retrospect, if we also see that how was it that we have been able to learn meaningfully, we have also done a lot of mistakes, we have encountered
Yes.
a lot of stumbling blocks, we have encountered a
Yeah.
lot of failures. So that is a natural way. I mean, that is how you evolve as a holistic human being. You cannot be right always, right? So we have to stop stigmatizing failures and mistakes. And also, I feel very strongly that if you're committed towards bringing up a generation of creative problem solvers, well, we must give them ample scope to pursue the three essential P's, and that is play, passion, and purpose. Because it is only a potent combination of play, passion, and purpose that can actually turn a person into a truly creative person. So
Wow.
these are some of the things that we need to do. And in fact, this has to be there in our DNA as educators if we really want to bring about a real difference.
And you said you need to find a way to combine play, passion, and purpose.
Yes.
Okay. So over 20 years of experience in education, and anyone that is watching this on YouTube right now or listening to the audio version of this, we can we can sense the passion that you have about helping to distribute, I would say distribute to give out transformational education initiatives. I mean, obviously that's what you've been doing, and we see your results, right? We see all the good things that you're doing. My question is, taking this, what was the thing that, I know you said you were fascinated by the title doctor and wanted to have it in front of your name and all, but what was the thing that made you say, was there some type of experience that you had um, growing up in education as a learner where you said, you know what, when I get older or when I become Dr. Shali, I'm going to change this about education? Or like what? It seems like there has to be something that, it triggered this transformation. And so I want to know, I love how you said you turned your passion into your profession, but I need to know what triggered that passion. Like what
Mhm.
happened from you being this is a term that I always love to use, but from you going from learner to leader, you know, what happened to make you say, nope, I can't, I will not let this happen to another child, to another person. We have to
Yes.
change this.
So, Dr. Charity, first of all, I would just like to say that I'm still a learner and I will remain a learner even after 20 years or 30 years from now. So,
Okay,
I
yeah.
am committed, I'm absolutely committed to lifelong learning. And I believe that if you have to be a leader, especially in the field of education, you have to be a lifelong learner and you have to be committed to continuous learning, unlearning, and relearning across all the
Yes.
significant phases of your lives. So, this is something which is very, very close to my heart, and this is something which I believe in. Well, to answer your question as to what has triggered this passion and what has actually led me to do everything that I have done or I will be doing in the near future, well, as I told you, that a lot of things that were going wrong, a lot of things that we are not supposed to do, those were the experiences and those were the times which had actually triggered in me. And rather, they had been very, very powerful triggers. And it had often led to a lot of sleepless nights as well. And, where I had really introspected that this cannot go on. I mean, it has been going on for so many years, but this cannot go on continuously. You know, we cannot just, we are people with thinking minds, we are people with a lot of creative ideas. We have a lot of dream and vision to make or to create a real difference. But then, even if we also, after getting so much of real education, even after that also, if we keep on allowing these things to happen, I mean, what is the relevance of getting education in that real sense of the term? Is it only about getting a degree? Is it only about getting a certificate? Is it only about getting a title? Is it only about getting that wider acceptability only and getting the seat at the table? Is it only about me? Is it only about my advancement in maybe academic or professional sphere? And is it not about the world which is around me, which I believe that I have a power to impact and to bring about a change? Is it not about that? So these are the questions, Dr. Charity. You won't believe that it has not been there only, uh, you know, maybe 15 years back, but it is still there in me. I mean, it still keep on asking me each and every day that is there a different way? Is there a better way of doing things that I have been doing? So I keep on
I love it.
asking these questions often to me. And right now, in my present role as the director of School of Education, one of the premier universities of Eastern India, where my students are the young researchers in the field of education, and they often come to do their bachelor's in education. So even I tell them the same thing, that you need to ask yourself these questions. You need to find out your purpose. Nobody else is going to do that for you. Because, see, one thing is very clear: the world doesn't care how much you know, but the world definitely cares about what you decide to do with what you know. And for that, it is
Yes.
absolutely vital for all of us to be conscious, uh, regarding why we are doing what we are doing. So the purpose is
Yeah.
very, very important. You have to find out your purpose. Who else is going to help
I love
you
it.
to find out your own purpose? You only have to do that. But once you're able to do that, once you're able to find out your purpose, there is absolutely no one and nothing that can stop you from realizing the mission and the vision of your life. That's what I
Absolutely.
believe.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree. And I feel like, so one of my questions was going to be, what advice would you give to someone considering furthering their education and getting a doctorate? But I really feel like you just answered that. I feel like that was your answer right there. What have been some of the highs and lows that you've experienced since becoming Dr. Shali Mukherjee? What have been some of the highs and lows? And this, this could be personally, professionally, educationally. It could be, culturally. Like what have been some of the highs and lows? And I'm just going to go ahead and pause and tell you guys that I have got to have her come back on the show because I am the whole time we're talking, I'm listening and I'm absorbing what she's saying. But in my mind, I'm also thinking about her role as a woman of power and a woman of position in India. And for me, I'm just sitting here like, oh no, ma'am, we have to have you back on the show. That has to be a whole different segment on its own because that to me is just, we all have our own assumptions about, women in power or about different roles that women get to play in various cultures. But here you are. I mean, you're highly accomplished. And not only that, but you're training other people to be exactly, the same, to do the same thing. And so I'm definitely going to be asking you to come back on the show because that's a special segment for us. But to go back to the question, what have been some of the highs and the lows that you've experienced since you've become Dr. Shali Mukherjee?
So honestly, I cannot think of any lows. There have not been any
Wow.
lows. Yeah, but then significantly, there have been a lot of highs. I can actually think about a lot of highs, which I have experienced after getting my doctoral degree. So definitely, there has been a lot of more respect, more prestige attached to this degree. I would say a lot of in terms of wider acceptability, getting that seat at the table, which we keep on telling in various forums as women leaders. So that has really, you know, I would say that I have been really fortunate in getting all those things after, especially after getting my doctoral degree. But I
Okay.
would also like to say that uh, whether it's Dr. Shauli or it's Shauli only, I would have still continued the kind of work that I have been doing because I'm extremely passionate about it. And
I
yes,
love it.
in terms of doctoral degree, have been a lot of preconceived notions that yes, it's something which is very very fancy, something which is very very coveted, but at the same time, with my own personal experience, let me just burst a little bit of bubble here. I'm saying that it entails a lot of hard work. It
Yes.
is a lot of sleepless nights. And especially
Yes.
from my own personal experience, if I can say that I have actually pursued my doctoral degree at a point of time in my life when I was actually working as a full time professor in a college, and that college happened to be quite far from my residence. During that time, I had to travel 90 kilometers every day up and down, and at that point of time, I had also very recently, I had also been blessed with twin boys. I had to take care of them. So if you ask me what was a typical day, how did it look like for me? So 90 kilometers journeying, being in a full-time profession as a professor, coming back to my residence, taking care of my 6 years and 7 months, 6 months and 7 months old twin boys, and then during the night, only maybe after 12 or maybe 1 in the night, I could actually sit with a calm mind to write my thesis. So that was exactly how I had pursued my doctoral degree. But then I had actually completed my doctoral degree within 3.5 years. So it had been a lot of hard work, no doubt about that, but it's really worth. It's really worth.
With Dr. Shawley, this is not, I repeat, this is not the last time that you will be on the Leaders Lab podcast, because you have so much to contribute to the world. And even if I give you my small world, if I give you my small world to impact, oh my gosh, I definitely have to have you back. I have to have you back again. And this has been, Entreleaders, what I'm talking about. This is the 50th episode, and we had to take it all the way to India. Okay, we had to take it all the way to India for this very special episode. And so there's always one particular question that I like to end, no matter the series, and that is, after everything that you've experienced, and all that you are training others to do now, and just the transformational work that you are doing in the lives of countless people, what is one characteristic that you believe every leader, no matter the industry, no matter the field, what is one characteristic that you believe every leader should possess?
Well, I think that any great leader, be it in any field, is that person who not only knows the way and often shows the way, but is somebody who goes the way. So I believe that a great leader is somebody who will actually go the way for you in order to show you that this is how things can be done. So when we speak about transformational leadership, this is my personal definition of a transformational leadership, that you are not only supposed to know and show the way, but you're also supposed to go the way. Additionally, I would also like to mention one last thing, that I believe that, uh, you know, we all are here with some unique and some special gifts. We all have
Yes.
special gifts to offer to this world. We have been blessed. Whether we realize that or not, that's a different issue. But the day we realize and we become conscious of the fact that we are blessed with some unique and special gifts to offer to the world, our life becomes completely different. And every great leader, I believe, that he or she working in any sphere, no matter, I mean, doesn't matter in which particular sphere he or she has been working for. But I believe it's very important that you have a spirit of service in everything that you do. So the moment you,
Absolutely.
the moment you are able to shift your mindset from doing to serving, it creates a whole lot of difference in your own personal world and in the world which you are trying to impact around you. That's my take.
You said to shift your mindset from doing to serving. I love
Yes.
it. Listen, Dr. Shali Mukherjee, we're so thrilled, and once again, we are very honored that you graced us in the Leaders Lab on today. And if there's somebody who's watching right now, or they're listening to the audio version of the podcast, and they want to connect with you, they want to get in touch with you, how can they connect with you? What's the best way for them to connect with you?
I'm a person who is very, very active on social media as well. So anybody who's a like-minded, person who is really eager to reach out to me and to be connected with me, so they can definitely be connected through Facebook, through LinkedIn, through Instagram, and even my personal email ID. So
Okay.
I would love to, have that opportunity of getting connected with like-minded people.
So for those of you who are watching, who are listening to the audio version of this, and you're not actually seeing her details on the screen at the moment, I will tell you her name. You can find her on LinkedIn as Dr. Shali, Shauli Mukherjee, Mukherjee. And then also you can find her on Instagram with the exact same spelling, but you have to put Dr. So you put Dr.Shali Mukherjee. You can find her right there on Instagram, or you can just simply go to Dr. Charity TV and you will see her tagged in this episode's promotion. You can see her there. And then also as well, you can connect with her on Facebook. If you search for her name on Facebook, you can find her there. But then also too, she said you can just email her directly to her personal email address, which is meetingdrmukherjee@gmail.com. Dr. Mukherjee, I cannot say it enough, but thank you so much for your contribution, what you are doing globally. And Entreleaders, you know that this will not be the last time that you see her here on the Leaders Lab podcast. Hopefully this will not be the last time. We look forward to working with you and collaborating with you again. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Charity. I'm absolutely honored to be on this platform today, and my heartfelt thanks and gratitude to you for inviting me to be on this platform. And yes, I would cherish the occasion where I could again come on this platform, and maybe we can have a heart-to-heart chat, and we can actually share our insights.
Oh, I would love that. I love that, a heart-to-heart chat. Entreleaders, wouldn't you love that? I'm sure you would. I'm sure you would, because I feel like this woman has so much to share and to impact us all, no matter our gender, no matter the age, no matter the nationality, no matter the culture. And that's what international thought leaders, that's what global leaders do. And so once again, we have been privileged to have a fellow global thought leader right here with us in the lab today, Dr. Shali Mukherjee. Thank you once again. And don't forget that you can also connect with me on social media. It is at Dr. Charity TV everywhere, on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. Facebook is Dr. Charity TV page. But then also you can simply email us at info@drcharitytv.com. Thank you so much for tuning in to the 50th episode of the Leaders Lab podcast, and I'll see you guys next week in the lab.
Thank you for listening to the Leaders Lab podcast. Visit our website at www.drcharitytv.com.